Hey, what's up, guys? So I thought I'd do my video blog outside today because it actually feels kind of like spring. It's sort of phenomenal. So after like 4 additional weeks of winter that no one should ever have to deal with, finally feel like we're getting to the good side. It's super nice out. So definitely enjoying that. Going to do my cardio that I'm now need to be doing in my plan outside today. Probably take the dog for a walk. It counts, right? As long as you keep your heart rate at a certain point. Doesn't have to be miserable, like just mindlessly stepping on a stair mill. You can mix the good stuff in. So back on track. Let me start with just kind of some wins, losses, and lessons learned here from this past week. So I think number one thing I want to emphasize is if you're working with a coach during any kind of extended period of training or transformation, what have you, make sure you communicate with them. And if something seems off, ask a question, right? So I tend to take for granted sometimes if I don't necessarily hear anything from my coach, it means that there's no changes required. But for whatever reason, I didn't get an email notification that there was a video waiting for me, blah, 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 blah. So basically, I spent a week doing the same thing that I did the week before when I should have been adding in some cardio. I should have made some diet adjustments, which I'll talk about here shortly. I thought it was odd that there were no changes given my strategy and approach, but that was the farthest I took it. So shame on me. Make sure that, like I said, if something seems off, just ask the question, right? Kind of along that line. So again, having been doing the healthy eating thing for a while, I'm very comfortable tracking my macros. Never been particularly good at doing math in my head, so again, shame on me for letting this get the better of me. But it's kind of easy to take for granted once you get in a certain eating pattern to just do things quick in your head and assume that you have the right macros. For things like egg whites, for me in particular, is something I always seem to struggle with. And as I was going back and reviewing, every time I get a new meal plan, it's kind of safeguard against this. I typically go back through it again. I double check my numbers and whatnot. So since I had some tweaks this week, I went back and looked at some of what I was eating. And a couple of my meals, I was eating well over what I should have been in terms of protein. And so, again, just something not to take for granted, right? I make the quick adjustments. It's all good. I feel silly for kind of wasting a week, right? Because my numerical progress this week wasn't very good, even though I feel like the visual component kind of caught up to what I lost the first week. And I was definitely a lot stronger across the board. Still, time is money, right? And in a transformation contest where you're trying to move as quickly as possible, these little adjustments and making tweaks on time really matters. So it's kind of my second lesson learned. Don't take that stuff for granted. Double check yourself. Double check your coach, because nobody can be more invested in your own success than you are, right? So again, lesson learned for me. Wins this week. So I'm kind of a diet soda fiend. I like drinking Diet Mountain Dew and, the Peach Mellow Yellow Zero that you get at Wawa. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But that became almost a daily thing for me. And although I didn't see or feel necessarily a lot of direct results, good or bad, I just know it's not necessarily the best thing for my system and my gut. So I really eliminated all diet soda this week until the weekend. And I think that needs to be a thing that I stick to. I felt good. Gave me a little bit more momentum in terms of what I was accomplishing and whatnot. So there's lots of little things that you can look at to, hey man, just make a little tweak here, a little adjustment there, and it can help give you, broader momentum to make more difficult changes, right? So that was a win. Second one, I've been way more consistent with eating fish. Generally speaking, I hate fish, but it's really, really good for you. I've had some help from some friends and my coach, just in terms of finding more creative ways to eat fish so that it's not so fishy, I guess, for lack of a better term. And so that was definitely a win for me, as well as just an awesome lifting week. My contractions were really, really good. My execution felt really, really good. I was more sore this week than probably I have been in a long time. That's not always a good rule for success. But for the type of training I'm doing right now, and based upon how I've been feeling in the past few weeks, I think it's a really good thing. So I definitely felt good about the intensity and the strength that I brought to my workouts this week. So for some changes and some updates, so my nutrition, definitely bringing some of my overall caloric intake down a little bit. I got some stuff in front of me here I'll reference. And on my non-training days, so I'm eliminating almost 60 grams of carbs, right? So carbohydrates are great, especially from the right sources. You need them to restore muscle glycogen, which gets depleted when you work out. However, when you do resistance training, specifically, like so things with weights, CrossFit, that kind of stuff. Maybe even HIIT cardio, depending on how much and how long. But when you're not doing that and your goal is to get lean and not necessarily exclusively preserve muscle, it becomes a kind of thing that you should get rid of or minimize when you don't need it. So that's an easy first step for me to make. Fats and everything else on a recovery day and protein are staying pretty much the same. So the other unique twist is I'm starting to do a little bit of cycling. So on my training days, where carbs are more important, but we still don't want the caloric content to be too high where I'm not losing or burning body fat, the carbs are going to stay the same, but the fats have been reduced at a couple different places throughout the day. So for recovery day, again, for reference, right now I weigh around 165 pounds, eating 212 grams of protein, 70 carbs, 100 grams of fat. And then for a training day, same protein, 130 grams of carb, and then 75 grams of fat. So 2 on, 2 off, and I'll start kind of doing that sort of carb cycling, kind of. I'll probably call it more macro cycling because we are adjusting multiple things. And then I've started to add some cardio. So you'll see the term LISS in the post. So what that means is low intensity steady state. Kind of a fancier word for basically like low intensity cardio, right? The idea being that your heart rate's elevated, it gets your blood flow moving, it really helps your nervous system recover, you'll burn a little bit of additional fat, and it should be at a level where you can essentially maintain a conversation without like huffing and puffing and being ready to die, right? Like, so if you're doing HIIT cardio correctly, you shouldn't be able to even look anybody in the eye. Like, you should be freaking exhausted, not able to talk, right? Whereas, again, the low intensity steady state, it can be a good way to kind of break into cardio, get your body moving, and used to that, cardiovascular, what's the word I'm looking for? Response, I guess. Get your body, or stimulus, I'm sorry. Get your body back ready for that cardiovascular stimulus. So that's what I'm doing. 2 sessions on my off days. So 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. For me, practically, really what that looks like is I will get up, immediately drink some water, take my morning supplementation, which right now it's a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, some lime, as well as a little bit of Himalayan sea salt. Really good for digestion and hydration overall. Drink about 1 liter of water, and then I go straight to the gym and I hop in the pool for 20 minutes. Nice, easy swim. I get up and I get out of there and I go about my day. Then later on in the evening, I pick up the puppy dog. If she's at daycare or whatever, I'll take her for a 20-minute walk right when I pick her up. And so that's really how that looks like. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated, and it's nice because it's on my off days, so it doesn't, dive too much into my day in terms of I'm able to kind of parse this stuff out so that it fits within the rest of my life. Last item is I'm going to be increasing the volume of my training and actually rotating through an additional workout. And specifically, so I have a complex, I guess. I'm just one of these guys, like, I don't know, my arms will never be big enough. And so, I asked my coach if we can prioritize those body groups. And so how we do that is working them more frequently and with greater volume within a workout. So that'll be a change in addition to we're adding a 5th workout. So still 2 on, 2 off, but I'm rotating through 5 workouts instead of 4. which again will help ensure that my body continues to react to the same style of stimulus in terms of like heavier lifting for a longer period of time with the variety. So yeah, that's really what I'm looking at this week. Looking forward to it. I suspect I'll probably lose a pound or two at minimum this week, especially with the cardio. And hopefully I'll end up, visually tightening up a little bit more, losing some off the waist. So as always, guys, if you have any more questions based upon this, if there's anything I can do to help you in terms of nutrition, workout, supplementation, lift execution, that kind of stuff, please feel free to reach out. Instagram, direct message is probably the best way. You can use carrier pigeon, smoke signals, Morse code, however you want to be creative. That works too. So really all I got for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, any questions, please let me know. And have a rock star week. See you later.